on Money FM 89.3.
International News Review.
Let's move on to another China-related story. The Marriott in Prague, of all places, has refused to host a Uyghur conference. This was last month, citing quote-unquote political neutrality. Now, the World Uyghur Congress is in Germany. It's based there, and they want to bring attention to the plight of Uyghurs in Xinjiang province, a very touchy topic. John, what do you, as you've read this story, what surfaces for you on Marriott's refusal, and then a statement saying they're going to look into it about refusing this conference?
Well, I think what happened was that the hotel in Poland made this decision.
Czech, I think it was Czech, right? Czech Republic.
Was it in Prague? Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking about a book I just read, From Warsaw with Love. Anyway, John Poffer, a great read, by the way. So Marriott headquarters has come out and said, listen, that's wrong. That's a wrong interpretation of our policies. And this is a field of mines for corporations. China's actions and policies in Xinjiang are things that companies can't be associated with. So this is and Marriott has said that we're going to have to train our affiliates better about our ESG policies.
And on that point, a slight diversion, but it's relevant, the way that corporates and big business are reacting to Chinese policies. Either John or Steve, maybe John first. It happened in the same week, of course, that one of China's biggest tennis stars allegedly has disappeared. I mean, Peng Shuai, for coming out and making several sexual allegations against a member of the Chinese government. There's been a big backlash in Western media and amongst Western organizations. Women's Tennis Association has called for an immediate investigation into this alleged disappearance. So I seem to see this. How do you position this, John? With corporates and media being increasingly vocal of domestic policies within China?
Well, it does speak to the sort of interconnectedness of the world. I mean, you have an affair and a domestic affair in domestic affairs of China, and then we know about it, right? She's a global figure. So, this is the world we live in, and it's complicated. It's complicated.
Yeah, Steve, as you're seeing this, Steve.
Yeah, I was to say, and it's the companies all over the world have to do two things. One, they have to be aware of every issue when it comes to China and when it comes to their home country, because not only do you answer to the governments, you answer to your customers. And your customers in China are going to have a very different view than your customers in the United States or Europe or Singapore, for that matter. And so, look at what happened to Okun Kaya Toast, right? The Singapore coffee and toast chain. They put up a promotional video in China that showed Taiwan as one of the countries that they served in their market. And they immediately had to take that website down. They immediately had to close their stores because they were accused by their Chinese customers of promoting Taiwan separatism. And so you have to now be on such a balancing act. And some companies have chosen, like LinkedIn, most recently, which we talked about, that they're going to leave China. You have other companies like the NBA and the English Premier League who say we've got to figure out what do we do with our players who have one position and what do we do as a company and try and balance. And now you've had the WTA said that we're going to support our player and we're going to pull out of China at the cost to us of millions and millions of dollars unless we get some resolution to her Me Too claims and her inability to publicly speak now. So it's different for every company, but it just shows you need to have a geopolitical and strategic awareness that you never had to have.
In the case of Marriott in Prague, they issued a statement saying, quote, Marriott International is committed to giving a warm welcome to all. We are in the hospitality business, welcoming people from around the world and from all walks of life, representing many beliefs. The management team at the hotel is contacting the group to apologize as the hotel's response was not consistent with our policies. We are working with the hotel team to provide additional training and education on our long-standing practices of inclusion. And when we look at the tennis story, apparently the Chinese state media published an email on Thursday purportedly from the 35-year-old tennis star saying that she's, quote, resting at home and everything is fine.
She has not been the target of retribution.
Yeah, she has not been heard from publicly, or seen publicly, I should say, since the 2nd of November. So I just wanted to put those points in there as points of balance on these stories. John, as we move forward, China has always said, for decades now, interference in their internal affairs is not welcome, whether it is with Hong Kong or Taiwan or Xinjiang or Tibet or anywhere else. This is not going away. What does the future look like as Western countries and boards are more activist in making sure that they are doing business with who they perceive is somebody that believes in the values that they believe in? Is there going to be a balancing point or a tipping point at some point from your perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't have the answer. The world is evolving in interesting ways. China is embarking on a reinvigorated attempt to become a superpower by 2049.
Right.
They have a plan. They have a plan in place, and they don't like it to be criticized. And so this is they want it to be understood. But if not, they'll say, never mind. You don't need to understand us, but you need to follow the way we do things here in China. So this is going to be increasingly complicated for companies. And I think that there's a lot of communication that needs to happen between industry associations and the Chinese government, because there's a misunderstanding of how you can welcome international business on the one hand. How do you do that and allow them to stay true to their values and still operate in China? I mean, this is complicated.
It is indeed. So let's change tack slightly, Steve. Bring it right up to date. Yourself and John and Mr. Van Zutphen opposite me, you all attended business conferences this week. MICE is back in Singapore. But the question to you, Steve, will it stay back? I mean, I'm reading news that COVID cases are surging across Europe. Europe is now the epicenter for COVID. Germany is now reintroducing restrictions despite the VTL with Singapore. So do you see the Singapore MICE industry booming now, or do you see events in Europe possibly slowing down the reopening of international conferences?
Well, it's going to be fits and starts, but it's you'll be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But we are on a trajectory, and I think the Singapore government recognizes the importance of having these type of events, the value they bring, and how you try and balance. There was a headline in Reuters that said Singapore business events bounce back post-COVID, Hong Kong flounders. Right, that is exactly what you want to see if you're the Singapore Tourism Board or you're the Singapore government. This is really important to this country. I mean, this is a global hub, and look, John and I have known each other for 20 years, and we were talking, last night at dinner. We can't remember the last time we saw each other in person, on Zoom all the time, in person, maybe 5 years ago. It's so important, and so I think the Singapore government, look, is idiosyncratic and is nonsensical. Some of the rules you have to follow if these conferences are, it's still on the right path and it's still going to go forward.
Yeah. Briefly, John, you were at the Milken conference and the Bloomberg conference this week. What was your conference going experience?
Well, I was at the Bloomberg conference. It was fantastic. And we felt welcome. Everybody was, it's hard work. I haven't worn a mask so much in my whole life this week. But it was worth it to be able to see people, to reacquaint yourself with friends, to see Steve without his mask. I mean, this has been fantastic. No, but the people travel from around the world for this from this event, and I just had a blast. I really did.
Well, thanks, gentlemen. Thank you both for being with us today, Steve Okun and John Holden. Appreciate your comments on China and on what's happening in the mice situation. Look forward to having you back on sometime in the future. And John, safe travels.
Hey,
thank you much.
Glenn, I have a question, mystery for the next episode. Neil, I thought this was Movember. What happened? What happened to Glenn?
That's a very good point.
And all will be revealed.
That is the most pertinent observation you've made all morning.
All will be revealed in good
All
time.
year, Neil. All year, Neil.
All will be revealed in good time. All right. Thanks, guys. Got to go. See ya.
Take care.